Hi, welcome to Tea Time with Amie and Bev.
Good day.
What's up, sister?
Not much. Peace it out over here.
Peace. We're like, hey.
Throw, throwing some moves. I see how it's
Hey,
going.
throwing the peace signs. Okay, here's a photo op. Do the screenshot.
That's funny. Wait, just one second. No, just kidding.
She's like, wait, I need that. Hold on.
I'll catch you later. I'll catch it later. Yeah.
Yeah. Catch
So
you on
how's it going?
replay.
Well, replay. Yep.
I'm doing really good, thanks. I feel like, so as I've been saying, I'm getting up early and going to the gym instead of going in the afternoon. Well, today's a little flipped. I have to go in the afternoon today. I don't have to, but I choose to go in the afternoon today because this morning I had some appointments, and it just seems like time has been so slow. And it's made me question, am I missing something? I'm just so off this morning because my schedule is interrupted, right? The pattern that
Yes.
you get stuck in. So my pattern got interrupted. So that kind of throws me off. And then it just seems like time has been so slow this morning. I feel like it should be 1 o'clock in the afternoon right now already.
I'm the opposite.
And I like my morning is packed.
Yeah.
Since my first appointment this morning was at 6:45. So it's been bam, 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 bam. But
Yeah.
it's those moments in between each appointment has seemed like eternity. So Mercury retrograde, I don't know, just saying.
I don't know.
So what's your morning been like?
It's been actually pretty good. I mean, I'll say it's been pretty good. It's a little bit toasty. We got some temperatures that got up there a little bit. I don't even know where we're at today. I think it's like 105 or 108 or something like that. It's supposed to be. It's a little bit overcast right now, so it's all good. I'm out where I'm at. I'm on solar, so we're not. If it's overcast, you have to run a generator. If it's, there's just certain things that have to be done in order to operate things in your house, and so it's a little bit toastier than normal. So, but otherwise, I would say the morning's gone by pretty dang fast. Like I went out and laid on one of the chairs this morning, and I'm laying out there, and I got greeted by one of the dogs. Like my foot feels kind of wet all of a sudden. He's over there licking my toe. I was like, gross, man, but I love you. So
Yeah.
it's been kind of like a peaceful morning actually. I got into town pretty quick, so I came to the office here to do our recording. But it's been fun. I've been noticing, we talk a lot about asking questions and stuff like that. And I kind of put a post out yesterday, it reminds me of Esther and Jerry Hicks. So, because Esther, does her channeling with Abraham Hicks. And she said that when she had met Jerry, I think that he had like all these questions in a notebook, like millions of questions. And a while ago, I was like, how many questions can you put in a freaking notebook? Like what could you see, ask the questions, right? Like what could I possibly put in there? And it's like, we've been talking about it. We've been probably talking about for a long time, asking questions because it brings us answers and it helps us evolve. If we don't ask questions and we stay in the same place all the time, nothing ever changes, right? Nothing. Luckily, you changed your appointment to, your gym for the afternoon, so you still get to go in and enjoy it. You know what I mean? We just kind of roll with a lot of these things. But it's like, we really if we don't start asking questions, nothing ever changes. We always think it's got to be the same way. It'd be like Groundhog Day over and over and over again. Like, what is going on? That's a question. You don't even have to ask it out loud. So I've got this notebook, and all I'm doing is writing questions. I've had so many freaking questions pop into my head, like the craziest things, like who decides it's hot? You know what I mean? We've been trained and programmed with all this information, and I'm just going to use hot or the temperature as one of the examples. Who says that we couldn't always handle these kind of temperatures without even thinking twice about it? But someone, even on the news, will say, oh, we're going to have a scorcher today, or, however they'll place it. But it's like they put all this information out for you, almost like pre-programming you. And if you listen to it, so it's just like the age thing. Who says that you've got to age Who says that as you age, your physical being has to age? Who says that? As we age, or as we grow wiser, or as we become more experienced, these are the things that, like, so I'm like asking deeper questions. It's not like, ooh, what is my relationship about today? Or what's this going on? It's like, no. And I was gonna say, I'll throw it out there real quick and then we can kind of hit on it throughout the conversation if you want. Focus on the heart center. Like I'm focused. I haven't been focused on the heart center. I've been so focused on being in the, you know, connected to spirit and to everything else. So you're more up in your head a lot, or you're at your third eye or at your crown. And remembering you got to be grounded through all this stuff. And I know that. I know that because before I used to love the high that I would get from, you know, being connected to spirit, because it just felt so, I felt like I was floating all the time. But it's like the more grounded you are, the more valuable grounded information comes into you. I don't know. It's just, it's the different place. But now I'm drawn to my heart because I want to see everything from my heart. I want to see myself from my heart. I don't, you know, if I look at a picture of myself, I don't want to think, oh, I need to do something with my hair. Oh, girl, what is going on with you right now? You looking ugly. No, like stuff. This is stuff I've been going through with my process. And it's like, wait a minute. I am not looking at my soul, and I'm not certainly not coming from my heart. I'm not focused on my heart and then looking at the world through that space. Okay. So I'll let you touch on some things.
Well, let me tell you what, there's so many directions. I'm like, ooh, yeah, ooh,
I know.
ooh, let's go that way. So
But it
many
was coming in.
directions. So we're going to go back to the replay. We'll be back. We're going to go back to the replay so we can hear what Bev said, and then I can take, just kidding. So
You're hilarious.
like, oh, ooh.
Start with a notebook.
I think, yeah, I don't know that we've really had a conversation about seeing our own beauty. And Bev and I did a photo shoot this past weekend, and she's got an iPhone, and she has, what is it called? What's the setting you use?
Oh, it was either a pro for pictures, or else it was, I'll remember it in a second.
Okay.
Portrait.
Portrait. Okay, so she has these, like, my phone doesn't take, I have an Android, it does not take photos like her phone takes. Like, they look professional. They were awesome. And I looked at it and I said, she took a picture of me, and then I looked at it and I said, oh, I'm so pretty. And I said it 2 or 3 times, I think. And then after that, I said to Bev out loud, I got to keep reminding myself of this. Because there are so many years, and I've been contemplating this. So last week, I think it was, I got my hair done. And remember when we did glam
shots or something like that.
Yeah. So, you know, you go and they do your hair and they give you the outfits to wear, they do your makeup. And then they take these pictures, and I have some amazing glamour shot photos that are in a box, because at that time when those photos were taken, the person inside that body did not like herself. And even those photos, yeah, I liked them at the time, but I was like, I look at them now and I'm just like, wow, like, you're really beautiful even then. And I couldn't see that. And so we forget to get out of our head, because our head is the one telling the stories. Our head's the one telling us that, you know, well, your hair's a mess. One eyebrow is higher than the other and you look like a goofball, or your lipstick's not the right color. Why did you put that color on? You know better. Your clothes are too tight. You got too many lumps and bumps, whatever. And really, okay, well, I could fix my makeup. That's cool. I can fix my hair. That's all right. I can wear clothes that are going to, for the time being with the space I'm in, that will accentuate my body in such a way that you don't see the lumps and bumps. That's cool, right? That's why we have clothing designers, because they know these things. They're going to create these clothes for us. It's just a matter of finding them and remembering that I can change my physical appearance. Take some time. It's not overnight, but it takes some time, and it's okay. So the physical appearance is temporary because it can all be changed. I could shave my head. I could cut it real short and dye it bright purple, you know, right? Change the colors of the makeup I use, whatever. But when you drop into your heart center, you don't focus on all that. You don't see all of that. Because the heart center says it doesn't matter what shape you are. It doesn't matter if one eyebrow is higher than the other. It doesn't matter what color your hair is. You're beautiful the way you are, because you're spirit and body, and that's just love. And that's expressing the love towards yourself without having the outside, like me. I didn't tell Bev, don't you think I'm pretty? I didn't ask her that. I said, I'm pretty, and I need to keep reminding myself of that. Sometimes we got to say those things out loud. And no, you don't have to say it to other people, but just hearing yourself say it goes, oh yeah, I am pretty. I am beautiful. I am amazing. I am, abundant, whatever you're telling yourself. It's important to get to the space where you don't need somebody outside of you to confirm what you are telling yourself in a positive sense. Like, if I was down on myself, I would have said, man, those pictures are all right, I guess. And then Bev would counteract with that, like, are you serious right now? Like, these are beautiful pictures. So that's me being in a space of needing somebody to tell me that I'm beautiful, and her holding that space. She knows she's holding that space for me, but me getting myself to a place where I can look at a picture and say, man, I really am beautiful. And so that's the difference from being in your head compared to being in your heart. I don't need somebody to tell me how good I look. Now, if I got a booger hanging out of my nose, I kind of want Bev to say, hey, you kind of need to fix this because you got some physical thing going on that,
You're funny. There's so many things I could say to all that stuff that you just said too. And it doesn't matter if someone tells you that you're pretty or not. Just like you couldn't see yourself in those pictures, how beautiful you were because you weren't in that space. I know what you're talking about. I think probably most people have been in that space at some point or another. And it doesn't matter how many times Jim would tell me I was beautiful, or Jim would tell me he loved me, or, whatever. It didn't matter about all that stuff because I didn't believe it. So it really is an inside job. And you can't get there from someone else constantly feeding you this information, because it doesn't work that way. I couldn't believe it. It was the same for me, even accepting a compliment. I couldn't believe it's like, whatever. Like, what do you want from me that you're saying this? You know what I mean? That's how my process would be a lot of times, because I didn't see any of that. Not saying that I don't get lost sometimes, because I did get lost a little bit this week. And gosh, Brienne sent me a picture of myself, and she said, there was pictures of me laughing. And then there was this picture, it looks like I'm so pained. Like it looks like she almost caught me in a space where it exposed myself. Like something that I don't see for myself. And it could have just been in between shots, but whatever but to me, it looks like a very pained, like I would draw this picture in phases. I would draw this picture with my laughter picture, this is the phases of our lives. I'm thinking about these pictures, like how they would turn out. But it's like, I caught myself a few times looking at myself and judging myself. And it's like, I can't, you just don't see yourself that way. When you're looking at through your heart, you don't look at the things that are a problem that you think are a problem currently. You see everything about yourself that's beautiful. You just do it because you're coming from a heart space. And it's right now I'm in this learning process because I haven't spent a whole lot of time in my heart space. So I'm constantly even doing tapping, I'll just tap on my sternum just to draw my attention back. And then I'm recalling my energy back to me, because I know that when we spend our, energy putting out to ourselves, oh, what if this person doesn't like me, or what it was, this person was thinking this about me, or this person cut me off in traffic, or, whatever happened. But it's like we put our energy out. So I start tapping on my heart center, bringing myself all back to myself, like all this energy that I've sent out. And I'm just reminding myself the same thing that you're saying, which was huge for me, excuse me, for you to say that out loud. Now you said that out loud to yourself, like, I'm pretty, and I wasn't paying attention. And I heard you say it. I didn't know you actually said it 3 times, but then I heard you say it. And I'm like, you are beautiful. Like you are. So we're over here talking, right? So this is how fast of a manifester a person can be. And you are, because you're there and you're saying that and we're talking. And then this young girl goes by and she looked right at you and she says, you're so pretty, because you're creating that. We don't understand when we say I am, it is a creative statement. Whatever you throw after I am, you are creating right now. That's going to be in your future. It's going to be part of whatever you're experiencing. If I'm sitting there thinking, God, I'm ugly, I'm looking old, I'm blah, 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 all this other shit, and I'm not noticing I am beautiful. I have a beautiful soul. I have beautiful eyes, or whatever you can find about yourself that you feel good about, that when you say it, because sometimes it's a practice. We've talked about that before too. I mean, it's been a long time, but it is a practice. But it was just such a manifestation for that girl to come up, and she was so genuine, just the way she said it and everything like that. Such a joy this girl was.
Yeah.
And it just blew my mind that was our experience that I got to witness, because that's how fast we manifest. And it's not, you don't like, you don't put energy behind it one way or the other. It's just like a neutral space. And then as you're saying it, what I've noticed for myself is, as I'm saying these things, I start to notice that my heart feels a little bit like it's getting a little bit bigger, or like it feels like it's more open. I feel like energy or something going on in that space currently. And I know it's an opening. For me, I know it's an opening, but I'm just trying to describe it a little bit how maybe someone else might feel it if you haven't spent time in your heart center. Trying to, and even for me, it's like even trying to, I say trying, but noticing other people's behaviors from my heart center. Because from my heart center, it sees their child, it sees their inner child, their soul, and it sees them where they're at right now. And that's okay where they're at right now. If they're not against you, nothing they can do really is going to do anything to you. Not when you're in a better space, or you're in a higher energy, or you're in this loving space. Because love, they say it all the time, but love conquers all. Love changes everything. Love is everything. And it's been abused so much, the word love itself. But when you really sit and just feel how that feels within inside of you, it feels amazing.
And we typically, when we talk about love, though, it's always external.
Yes.
I love this person. I love that person. They love me, or I hope they love me, or everything's external. And I think that's why when somebody says, oh, I'll never fall in love again, I wouldn't say that, because falling in love with yourself is key. It just is.
It's the most important thing.
And when you fall in love with yourself, like attracts like, so you're going to attract those people who are going to treat you the way you treat yourself. This is not a new conversation for us. We say this,
but it's an awesome one.
And people treat you the way you treat yourself. And I've been saying this since my 40s, since I turned 40. I said the next half of my life is going to be way more amazing than the first half. And I say next half or more, because I do believe I'll be here more than 40 more years. And I keep reminding myself, like, I'm aging amazingly. Like, I've seen people my age that look 20 years older than me, and they're my same age. And so that's something I just keep affirming. Like, I'm aging well. I'm aging my body. I've been going to the chiropractor recently, and she's like, wow, for the shape you're in, you're great. She was just like, you're great. And it's because I keep affirming to myself, I am aging well. I am doing well as I get older. I'm aging, and they age like fine wine. I'm like, ooh, I'm top of the line, sister. It's like, I'm rocking this. And I have to do that for myself. You can't tell me that if I'm in a space of where I'm being down on myself. Bev can tell me, but like she said earlier, I'm not going to believe her. I'm not going to hold that to be true for me. It could be my husband, it could be my mother, my mother-in-law, my son. They all could be telling me the same thing, and I'm basically like, what the hell ever. And the more, and I could go down that alley or stay down that alley. I did it for so many years of just putting myself down. When you put yourself down, you feel like shit. I mean, it's just the way it is. You're sick all the time. Your body's heavy, like sluggish, heavy, emotionally heavy. You just got all this stress going on. It's like being a blob, I guess. It's the best word that comes to me is like a slug or a blob. You're just like sludging through life and feeling horrible. I'm just like, I don't want to feel that way the rest. I felt like that for 40 years. I don't want to feel that way anymore. So I have to tell myself something different. And it is my job to do that. It is not anybody else's job. So as long as I'm affirming to myself, I'm pretty, I'm beautiful, I'm aging well, and my body's in good shape, I'm just doing really well. And then somebody tells me that, they're affirming what I already know. They're affirming what I already know to be true for myself because I already believe it. That's my job. Nobody else's.
True. And it's practice. That's how you change it.
Always. Practice.
Because you can't get what you want by doing the same thing over and over and over again, look where you're at right now. But when we start putting new information into our mind or downloading new information or however, whatever you want to call it, when we started having these experiences, when you listen to somebody, because it's not in an egoic way at all. It's not in a, I'm the shit, man. It's not anything like that. It's almost like, for me, it's almost like a realization, like, wow, you really are pretty amazing. But that's good because we need to acknowledge ourselves. We do. We're so freaking, we are amazing. We made it to 50. Well, I'm 51 now. So it's like made it to 50. Huh?
Next week.
Woo woo. It's like made it to 51 and it's like, oh, that's awesome. Because not everybody gets to 51. They don't. And it's a freaking number. And it's awesome. I'm celebrating it. I get to see all my family and all my kids and, my grandbabies and stuff and enjoy all these children that are around. They're freaking amazing. I get to enjoy this space that I'm in.
And what happened? I wanted to hit on this too. What happens if you're like, God, I'm 51 and look at me. I just look like crap, right? Then you start noticing, oh, I got all this gray hair. Oh, I got wrinkles. I got whatever, saggy boobs. I don't know, whatever you want to say, right? The arm, this.
Yeah.
It's like you focus on all of that.
Yeah.
And that becomes your main focus because, when you put your attention on something, it grows, and then you just keep seeing it over and over and over, and you keep putting it down over and over and over, thinking negatively about it, then you're just going to stay in that, I'm going to call it a rut. You're just going to stay in that pattern that that is what you just keep thinking over and over and over and focusing on. And what happens? People will affirm that for you too. They will.
Oh yeah. Just the same as affirming for you that you are so pretty. You use the same exact words. It was so, it was so awesome, really. It was like crazy awesome. But it really was, because that's what happens. And then when you keep saying what happens, what also happens, you get deeper and deeper into that rut. Your body starts aching. Every single thing you could possibly think that you've ever heard in your whole lifetime that has to do with age, you're now experiencing it. Like every single thing. Like it's so hard to get out of bed, but that's how it feels. That's what you do to your own energy. If you're practicing this stuff. Yeah. But you can lift yourself up to where you're getting up in the morning. It's like, gosh, my back feels so much better today. It's just crazy. I don't understand what's going on, but man, I feel good. And it's just reaffirming I feel good. That's why when they say I've listened to a lot of different speakers that have gone through like extreme accidents and where they did their healing themselves. And it's like they did, every time they had that one little if it was a second they felt good, they were acknowledging that second how they felt good, because it starts building on it. It starts making it more. You start having more moments of feeling better. Your moments start lasting longer. And it's the same thing with anything. It's just like when you're learning something, right? It's
Yep.
even like you're learning something. When you first start learning, you're kind of down on yourself because you feel like you don't know how to do it. But it's like the more you do it, it's like, man, I am getting so good at this. And then you get bored of it and then you move on to the next thing, which is good. But
Or
is it
you're expanding. So you learn something
always?
new. You're not confident in it, so you're questioning yourself. But the more you practice it, the better you get. So you build confidence. Now I have confidence in this. I'm really good at this. So what's next? So now
Yeah,
I elevate myself to the next level. Start, build confidence, get good at it. What's next? Because we're always evolving, always rising. But I want to say rising above the person we're at in the moment, because we are. We're just
yeah,
we keep increasing our knowledge and our wisdom and our strengths, building that confidence. Like we are powerhouses. We just got to
oh,
step into it.
seriously,
Yeah, I didn't believe
seriously.
that 20, 30 years ago, but today I'm like, I'm smart. I can figure shit out.
Yeah,
I, I'm not like, I have the sense, if I'm in a position of some storm I'm walking through, look at all the storms I've already walked through. Like, look at all that wisdom I have, all that knowledge I have. I have, I am smart enough to move through the next storm, whatever that might look like.
yeah,
It might just be, a 60-mile-an-hour windstorm, or it could be a tornado, doesn't matter. And I'm also at a point where I'm like, as you were saying earlier, I'm at a point in my life where I ask for help, because I know there are other people out there even smarter than me that has the knowledge to help me get through the storm. I mean, I went to the chiropractor this morning. She's standing outside taking a breath, fresh air in between clients. And she's doing this thing, and she's really in deep in thought, and she's moving her hands, and I'm just standing there, and then she tells me what she's doing, and I offered up some ideas, and she's like, "Thank you so much. That'll help. That's great." And I'm like, "Well, that's what masterminds are for, right? So we can collaborate and help each other through whatever we got going on, because people have ideas and they're creative, or they've experienced it or something similar, and they have information they can share with you. See, I didn't understand masterminds. I'm in a mastermind, and now I'm like, I get it now, right? This is just something in the next step, rising above who I was, trying to figure life out by myself. And now I'm in masterminds, and it's amazing, all these people there. You just share what's on your heart, what's going on, what are you struggling with, what are your ideas, but you can't seem to connect, the next step, or you just need a direction, and they're just like, "Oh, we'll try this or do this or do that." I'm like, this is so freaking amazing. I love this, right? And all these years I bumped along trying to figure shit out on my own because I was so independent, and I'm like, wow, just wow. It's incredible to be in a space with other people who are just supporting you and guiding you and giving you direction. And it's just like, God, wouldn't it have been amazing if only 40 years ago I had this information. I wouldn't have been open to it. I wasn't open to it 40 years ago. But here's the thing. I asked for help and it shows up. Don't do things by yourself, right? And it's just goes along with what Bev's saying, is like, wherever you're focused on is what you're going to get. And we have to ask the questions. When you ask the questions, the people show up, or the information shows up in some way.
absolutely. I was focused on heart stuff yesterday. I was looking at heart stuff, and it's like, then next thing you know, a podcast shows up on my phone. It's talking about heart stuff. I go to do something else. Now I'm seeing all these images, and they're, just motivational, and it's about heart stuff. And it's like, because I put it out there.
Right.
Because when we ask a question, If we think we're always going to be the person that does it, that it's I'm just independent. It's all me. I can't rely on anybody else. These are words I've used. And then you're asking for help. You don't even acknowledge or notice the help when it shows up. But when I in the space that I'm in now, I'm open to receiving the help. Most always. I'm sure I get in my moments sometimes. I mean, it's part of the roller coaster ride. We got our hands up and we're screaming in some moments, and other moments I'm in a fetal position on the floor, and I'll get back up in my seat in a minute. But it's just a ride, and it's just a ride. So when you're in a space, you ask questions. It doesn't matter what the situation is, and then you'll start noticing. It took me a while, but you start asking bigger questions. Like bigger questions, huge questions, like how you can, handle feeding such a wide variety of animals that are off your property, that are, right now we haven't been getting a lot of rain. Okay, so that presents another question. We have these experiences, I feel like, so we ask the questions. Okay, I was just talking to Freeman last night. I'm like, so we've taken it for granted, or we've taken it for whatever it is, because they say we're in a drought. Well, what did our ancestors do when stuff like that happened? Or what did they do when they were experiencing this? My mouth is getting so far ahead of my head.
Like, I can't talk it fast enough.
Yeah, I know. But it's like if we ask for help, it's like even asking our ancestors for help. Like, what do we do in this situation like this? How can we bring water to here? It's something else that's kind of interesting. So we had that fire up in the Wallapies, right? And you told me, and I learned I was told again after that once the heat gets to a certain point, the pine cones actually release their seeds. Well, that fire only was underbrush. Like, I think one outbuilding burnt, and I don't know if it burned all the way down to the ground. It was like a shed or something. That was it. That fire looked like it was from where I was at on the side over by Petro, looking at the mountains. It looked horrible.
Right.
Horrible.
Right.
But then think about Mother Nature, because I believe the earth is its own being, its own entity, its own energy that we get to share in. But the earth always finds a way for balance. You got all these people that plant this fear out there, and it's not because they're wrong, because our stuff's going to show up. If I say that I'm beautiful, or I'm pretty, it's going to show up, and I'm going to be acknowledged for that. So if we are putting so much attention into something being horrible or something being good, it's going to be whatever you're putting your attention to. Each person's experience is going to be different, because that's how you feel at the moment, right? But to me, those seeds being released is only letting us know rain is coming. A lot of water is coming, because those seeds would not have been released. The earth knows what's going on here. They know those trees could have burnt up there, and they didn't. They didn't. To me, I feel like it's it may sound crazy to some people, but there's such a bigger picture here. When you like really zoom out and you look at everything, these little details like this, there's something bigger going on. And it's because when stuff like this happens, it makes you ask questions. When stuff like that happens, that makes you ask for prayers for keeping everybody safe, and the animals and the land. And it provokes more from you, not more in a physical sense, but more in a energetic sense.
Yep. And we, as you were talking about love, I have a client right now I'm working with, and she didn't get the love and nurturing as a child like so many of us did.
Yeah.
Right? So
it's true. It's true.
that so she didn't get the love and nurturing that she needed when she was younger, and then by one parent, and then the other parent taught her how to be a fixer and a people pleaser. And now she one of her struggles is that her family, her kids, particularly her kids, she says, put her on a pedestal. So I needed to figure out, what did that mean to her? I mean, what did that mean to her? Like, they put me on this pedestal. I'm like, so we had to dissect that a little bit. And what it came down to was, she didn't get the love and nurturing she needed as a child. So, we know as child up to 7 that that's our programming state. And now that she is feeling this overwhelming sense of love, she don't know what to do with it. She don't know how to handle it. She don't know how to embrace that. So it came down to, let's take you off that pedestal, because they're not really putting you on a pedestal. They're just giving you all this amazing love that you don't know what to do with. You don't know how to receive it. And so it was just, I mean, it's just interesting. It's always amazing how our conversations always come back around to something that I'm already, no doubt, no different than you. Like, we're already having these conversations and experiences. Bev and I don't plan these conversations, and then we come together and we're talking about stuff. And I was like, yeah, I just heard a podcast, or yeah, I just heard somebody talk about this, or I just read a book about that, like all within the week. We don't show up on these podcasts and have an agenda ever. And to come and talk about love in the heart center, that, yes, Mother Earth, heart.
Yeah.
Right. There's cycles. There's energy. Like, when right now it's dry in the desert, it is dry. And so what do you think so many people are doing right now? Praying for rain. We're praying for the moisture. The thing that it will amplify that is to visualize it and feel it. That's something that Greg Braden experienced with a tribe. And the Indian stood there, a Native American stood there and closed his eyes for just a few seconds. And what he was doing was imagining the rain, feeling the rain on his body, knowing what the moisture is going to do for the planet and the animals and the vegetation and everything. And then he was done. And Greg's like, what just happened? Like, this was his first experience with something like that. And this is how you amplify your I am statements. This is how you amplify your visualization, is to feel into it. And so if you're praying for something, then visualize it and feel it as if it is.
That's awesome. You know what else is awesome? You're talking about your client.
You're awesome.
You are. But you're talking about your client, and it never crossed my mind. I never thought about, because we feel a lot of emotions, and when I think about feeling emotions, really when you feel it. Like when you're experiencing it, stop and feel it. Don't try to put attachment to it, words to it, people to it, anything, just feel it. But I've never thought about that being a love thing.
Yeah.
I never thought about, and it's giving me goosebumps. I actually feel a little bit emotional about it, but I never thought about that it would be overwhelming to feel so much love. So we kind of shut things off a bit, or all of it, to try to handle things. But we keep asking. This is so funny. We keep asking for it, right? I mean, that's funny to me, because I've had this as my experience. You said that we don't plan our conversations. We don't. It's whatever we're going through right now. This is what I'm going through right now. This is where I'm at in my growth right now, that I'm in this space. And it's so crazy to me to think that was one of the emotions, because my emotions would always be triggered on or focused on, like, oh, I'm feeling angry right now. Oh, I'm feeling sad right now. Oh, but none of it was ever about love. Oh, I'm feeling love right now. Oh, I'm feeling joy. Oh, Lord. Like, so,
here we go. Here we go with that joy.
Yeah.
Woo!
That's right.
The arms up.
Then it gets crazy. That's right. And it's crazy. It's just, I say it's crazy, but it's so much more than that. It's amazing. It's such a journey. And so maybe I have spent more time in the focusing of, like, because when we talk about working through our emotions, when I hear working through your emotions, I hear working through a lot of the muck, really. It's like whatever comes forward. And usually those are triggers that are showing that you have a wound somewhere within you, that, these triggers are like so surfacey, they're on the skin, but there's something so much deeper than that. And it's like getting to those spaces. But a lot of times it was the love. And like you said, most of us didn't experience love and nurturing. And it's not because our parents or the people that were taking care of us did wrong necessarily. They did what they could. They had no other tools to do that. That's why something has come for me recently, and it's like being a black sheep, because I was always known as the black sheep of the family for the longest time. And then my brother tried to take a little bit of the edge off of me for a while. So But I mean, I was always noticed that, and it's not really being a black sheep of the family.
Yeah.
What I recognize is it's because we're different and we're meant to be the change in that family because we're no longer supposed to carry what everybody's been carrying through all their lives. I was listening to this guru and he's talking about love, but he's talking about we have 1% of our consciousness that we use on a daily basis and all the rest of it. And that's just a figure, right? But he was just saying it, we're so minuscule in how we operate because we've been operating the way all of our ancestors, all the way down from our parents to us. And that's like, we are the huge change. Like it's us.
Yep.
And we're doing it. It's happening right now.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yep. And that's just stuff that we teach, and I teach a lot in my class. I'm like, the beliefs you're having is handed down generation to generation so if you take your mind and you go backwards in time, think about the eras and the belief systems and why they did the things they did at that time. And now here we are in the 21st century, and we're still believing like, no, you can make a change. And as you were talking earlier, you almost went there, and I was like, okay, she's gonna say it, but she didn't. So when you said work through the emotions, a lot of time, 100% of the time, when we say work through the emotions, we're talking about negative shit. The negative.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're working through emotion, we're talking about the negative stuff. You're working through that anger. You're working through that judgment. You're working through the resentment and the guilt and the shame. Like that's the hard part, right? We look at that like that's work. And nobody likes to work, and nobody likes to work hard because it's too hard, it's too exhausting, and it's trying on your last fucking nerve, right? So it's like, I don't want to do this, I don't want to work at this. And then we say embrace it. And typically when we say embrace it, we're talking about the love and the joy and the fun and the exhilaration and the compassion and the kindness. And so just stop working through stuff. Just embrace it all.
I was going to say the same thing. It's embracing it all. Because to me, it is embracing it all. It is, because it's all aspects of you. There's nothing wrong with you. These are just things that we need to embrace, not need to, that we can embrace. And then it's no longer a factor. It's no longer the trigger on top of the wound. The wound is no longer even there anymore. Because it was always an inside job. It was never up to anybody else.
So if we embrace, so my client embraced, I did not have the love and nurturing I desired as a child. That is my perception. I'm going to embrace that that's how they showed up. This is how I showed up. And this is what I know. And I'm also going to embrace that the love is being poured onto me now. Right? So if we change, again, it's just changing mindset and pattern of how we're looking and seeing things, that you can say, I got to work through these emotions. I can feel that heaviness. I'm like, I want to do this, but I know the outcome's going to be amazing, right?
Absolutely.
My pattern and my programming and my words are work through it. I mean, that's just because I've been programmed like that for the last 15 years. Work through it, meaning work through the chaos and the storm and get to the other side. You're going to go, you're going to trudge through it. You're going to keep going. And it's the steps are going to feel like lead weights, but keep going, keep working at it. Okay. That sounds exhausting to you. Great. Embrace it. Embrace the storm.
Embrace
because
it.
the storm is bringing you wisdom. The wisdom comes when you decide to learn from it. That storm has something for you, so embrace the storm. Don't like the word storm? Okay, embrace the situation, embrace the experience, embrace the circumstances. It's okay. Just change the language so that you can receive it in ease and move and just keep going and keep, just I trained, I'm like, laugh at yourself, because when you get angry with yourself, you're telling your body you're angry, put you in the fight or flight mode. If you laugh at yourself, your body's relaxed. The body's like, oh, okay, it was just whatever. Okay, we're good. All right. Completely different pattern. It's changing. It's it's got to be a mindset shift in order for the rest of it to shift. For your thoughts to shift, for your language to shift, for your meaning of the words that you use, and your emotions to shift. All of that will reflect your actions. And so when you bring in that into alignment, your mindset, so your thoughts, your words, your emotions, you bring all that into alignment. Where does that drop you? Right into? Bam, right into the heart center. Your actions will come from your heart center.
Yeah. Besides that, the storm, the situations, they help you ask questions. Because if we don't have those situations, if we had loving and nurturing when we were a kid, what would we have been asking for? I don't know, because I didn't have that as my experience. But for me, it helped to push me. It helped me to start asking questions. And it really just did. It helped me to start being more aware of my own needs and desires. And so it's not like anything bad. And besides that, I'm always told that we're here on vacation. We're here on vacation. We're here to feel. It's like, so when we say embrace, to me, embrace every single one of those emotions. Embrace all of it. When you're hurting, focus your energy onto that hurt, because it's trying to tell you something. Because you've been saying you're ugly, or you can't do this, or you're not worthy, or whatever your story is you're telling yourself, that's keeping yourself feeling so heavy and like it hurts to get out of bed or it hurts to move. All those things that's what's happening to you right now. All that is showing up in your body. It's like, gosh, it'd be like cool if we could like watch a cartoon or watch a person like walking and they start saying some crap about themselves, and you see them kind of, the weight hits them, and it's almost like it's just pressing them into the ground, and you see the next thought that they say, and then it kind of presses them down into the ground more, and next thing you know, they're like just this old person that's bent forward and barely making it through to needing assistance to get a door open, but still won't ask for it, still won't accept it. So it's like life could be so different. We're co-creators. We're meant to create together. We're not meant to create by ourselves. And it doesn't mean that we can't come up with brilliant ideas by ourselves, but usually there's been a conversation that you've heard or you've had or something you've witnessed that spurred you to start asking for questions, answers started coming in, you created something new. That's what we're here for. Let's have a good time.
Absolutely, let's have a good time. I know for me, when I would take on a project, I look at the bigger picture of it and I'm just like, that's too much for me to handle, right? The overwhelmment, wow, okay. And then I'm like, frozen. So I won't even start or procrastinate starting. And here's the deal. Asking. I definitely now I'm at a space in my life where I'm so excited about mastermind groups, but it's just a community, a support group, something where I can see this bigger picture and I have an idea of the direction to go, but here's what I do or did in my lifetime. I made it harder than it was. I made it so much harder than it was. So when I bring my task to the table and say, this is what I have, this is the direction I want to go, but I don't know how to get from here to here, and these steps in between, like I don't know how to put this puzzle together and make my steps. Mastermind group, community support says, well, do this, this, and this. Here's your first 3 steps. Just start going in motion. So emotion is energy in motion. We got to get the energy in motion. We got to move. We got to keep going. This is where you get stuck and get in that rut and feel like a slug and you're just not getting anywhere. We got to keep the energy moving. We got to keep taking those steps. It might be just the itty bitty, like pinky toe size step, but take a step, keep moving, and see that once you get this, like, you get that momentum going, then you start speeding it up a lot of times and things just start flowing and help appears, and it's amazing.
It is.
The phone doesn't open by itself.
No, it doesn't.
Takes a little heat.
Because it makes you ask questions. How can it get better than this? Like, I mean, it could be as simple as that.
Light a fire under your ass and get moving.
That's right. That's
Not
right.
literally, just, it's figure of speech.
That's true. It's true. Don't get crazy now.
Yeah, let's okay. Let's be smart.
It's almost like, how do you want to use your life, really? Because we're the creators. Some people are so afraid of that. To me, that's very empowering. Some people are afraid of even stepping into your power. Stepping into your power is just stepping into your soul. Like you're operating from a soul place instead of everything you've learned from planet school.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't know. Did we talk about this? There was something that said, what would you do if you came here? I was reading or listening to a podcast, and she says, what would you do if you came here with a clean slate right now? What would you do? How would you live your life? And I'm thinking, I can't even comprehend that because I have stored so much bullshit from growing up as a kid. I don't even know what that looks like. So honestly, I mean,
Right.
what would I do? What would I do if I wasn't concerned about doing something wrong? Because even though I'm mostly not concerned, I know there's still stuff in me that is worried about doing something wrong. Otherwise, I would have cut loose, probably bought a ticket to Costa Rica, and probably would be over in Costa Rica right now. Why not? But because I start rationalize things. I'm not saying that anyone has to go jump off the planet or take a trip real quick, but that's where our intuition's guiding us, and then we start getting into the place or trying to block things. But it's not just blocking things; it's blocking living life. And I've been doing that my whole life. So like coming here with a clean slate, well, I don't freaking know. Like I've had to process that. What I had even told my friend is like, for the longest time, because I've always felt like I was empathic. Actually, I can put a term to it. I think we all are, because I think when we're trained by our parents or whoever, we're focused on, they're upset. We probably should do something a certain way to keep the peace in the house or whatever. So we're already in tune to outside of us constantly. So it's kind of a crazy place to be when you think about it. But when I say this, I didn't know where I began or where I ended. Like I didn't. So that started all with you guys teaching me, helping to teach me healthy boundaries. Because then I started defining you can't overlap this place anymore into my energy, which is how I perceive it now. But it's like I'm noticing so many different things that go along with that. And I'm starting to notice, and then once you start creating those healthy boundaries, it's like having a plot of land, right? You have boundaries around that property that defines that's your plat. That's what you own, so to speak.
Figuratively speaking.
Figuratively speaking. But you're not your neighbors, if they encroach on it or they're coming across onto your property, that's not okay. So we have our property, and it's the same thing for ourselves. It's honoring ourselves and having those healthy boundaries, because that was the only way for me. I feel like that's what led me from one place to the next, like creating those healthy boundaries. So I start noticing, where do I begin? Where do I end? What do I like? On an energetic level, we don't ever end. There is no endings or beginnings. We're just always, we're always here. And we're all connected. So that can get a little bit confusing sometimes when you think about things in a bigger picture. But on the picture here, if I'm talking about land, it's not okay for someone to come into my space, into my energy. It's okay for me to figure out, this is what I want my space to be. This is my energy. I don't want things coming into my energy. But I was trained for so long, and then here I am doing massage, taking on people's energy, like not even realizing I was taking on their energy for the longest time. Because I don't know if it was you that told me, but it's like people would say, you don't have to take on their energy. Well, what the hell does that mean? How do you not take on their energy? I'm in their energy. Like, I didn't understand it, but it's like, I get it now. It's just really, it's having healthy boundaries. That's where it began for me.
Nice. I love it. We could keep on talking for 3 more hours.
Or days, I know. So.
Yes, Bev, yes. Such good conversation.
They're awesome.
Healthy boundaries and energy. Yeah, that's a whole day.
The healthy boundaries help you get back to your heart, right? Because if I'm in my heart and everybody else is in my heart, or if my heart's everywhere else, I don't have the healthy boundaries. I can't even focus on me. So it's 51 years, and here I am. This This is my experience that you're experiencing with me, that you're helping guide me through. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for allowing me to be on your journey, on the path with you.
Thank God.
Woo! Yeah, so healthy boundaries is a way of loving yourself, because it goes back to the way you treat yourself is the way other people are going to treat you. So when you decide to make a change and shift in the way you treat yourself, those people that treated you the way they treated you are going to keep showing up. And now you got to start creating the boundaries to say, that's no longer acceptable. So I'm treating myself different, and you don't have to explain it to them, but in your own conversation with yourself is, I'm treating myself differently. I'm nurturing myself. I'm loving myself from my heart space. And it's not okay that somebody puts me down. It's not. So then the boundary is, to me, it's like holding boundaries is for yourself. And it's a way of loving yourself, because you can say, I can use my voice and tell them not to talk to me like that, which I have no control over. So I could tell them not to do it, but they may do it anyway. So I don't have any control of that. Another option is I don't hang out with them. I create space between us and them. And so, meaning I don't need to talk to this person. I don't need to hang out with this person. I don't need to call this person. I don't need to return their calls or their texts, because they're in that space still with seeing me the way I was. And now I'm shifting and changing, and I don't see myself that way. So this is no longer a healthy relationship. So yeah, boundaries is a heart space action. And it is honoring yourself enough to create the boundaries to hold yourself to.
Yeah. I love it.
Isn't that great? Now, learning to do boundaries is easy. Could be. Could be another spectrum too. But with anything, when you're learning to do something new, just like we said earlier, when you're learning something new, you got to keep practicing in order to build your confidence. When you build your confidence, then easy peasy, man. Easy.
Yeah, because you're being your own cheerleader. You're being your own best friend.
Yep. So just a boundary for me was I was drinking a lot. Well, if I go to the bar, I knew I was going to have a good time, which meant I was going to be drinking. If I go to a certain person's barbecue, I'm going to probably drink, right? So it was starting with the one thing I had control over. So, I mean, I had control over whether I attended these different events. But I mean, you know, my family, my husband's going, I want to be with my husband and go to this event. So, but I knew going and hanging out at a bar is not going to be a healthy thing for me if I want to change. And so the boundary for me was I'm not going in that building. I didn't go in that building for months, because I knew it would be a trigger. So the boundary I had to set for myself was I got to create space between me and this building. Just means I'm not going to go into it. I got to go do something else. I got to go hang out somewhere else. So that was loving myself enough to know if I go in there, it's going to be a trigger. So yeah, that was an example.
You know, I like that because, you've given me you presented something else to me, how I can see boundaries too, because that's not, for me, it was always, so I guess probably a defensive thing, right? For me, it was always creating boundaries for everybody else, but really those boundaries were for myself. Yeah. But my mind was thinking they were boundaries for keeping it, you know, this is my fence. Don't come past my fence. This is my yard. Stay out of my yard. You know what I mean?
That's how the fence. They can dig a hole. They can dig under the fence. Like, you don't have control over that. You have
no, but that's not the way I was thinking. Yeah, I wasn't thinking it that way. And then you just said it that way, and it was like, holy shit. To me, that's like, wow, because these are my boundaries. It's because I love myself. It's not because I'm defending myself. It's because I love myself.
Yep.
You are so awesome.
Thanks. And I'll just tell you, my husband and I, we went to the bar on Friday night because they do line dancing lessons, and I love to dance. I love line dancing. He gets, so, you know, they have small pictures and then they have big pictures, right, of beer or whatever. He gets a small pitcher of beer for himself, and he gets a small pitcher of ice water for me. And I'll
Nice.
go through we were there for almost 6 hours.
Wow.
I drank three and a half pitchers of water, ice water. And I had a great time watching everybody. I love people watching. I mean, I was like free entertainment to me to sit there and just watch people dance, you know, the interactions of people and enjoying the music and dancing. And I can sit in a bar and have an amazing time and drink water. So the boundary I created for myself to love myself, to create space between me and alcohol. And the reason why I was having alcohol was that was the start, was me and that bar that I hung out at, not the one that we're at now, but when it began, the change began, was creating space between me and the space I knew that would trigger me. And now I'm just like, and you know what? I wake up the next day and I feel amazing. No hangovers, no sluggishness, none of that. Just maybe a little tired because we stayed up a little late, but you know, it was fun.
And you were dancing.
But I have a headache or a hangover or puking in the toilet, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't miss that at all. Let me tell you, neither does my body.
You're funny. Our bodies convince us that that's not, no more. Yeah.
Woo, girl, we gotta stop this. Don't feel good.
True story.
Anyway, yeah, boundaries, a whole nother conversation for sure. Bev brought it up, so we had to touch on it. It's good. It's good. All of it's good. So your heart space drop from here, the head, the logical or the analytical mind, drop down to your heart space and feel into the questions that it's important for you to ask in order to get the answers you need to move in a direction you want. I don't think I could have said that any better. That was awesome. We better stop.
I don't either. You're making me think while you're saying it. So it's like, then I can't, but I'm like, I'm starting to ask questions while you're saying this stuff. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Thank God you can't hear in my head what's going on in there half the time.
Yeah, you'd be like, woo, girl.
But no, that's awesome. I love it. And there's so many different ways to get there. You can listen, you can find meditations, you can just focus on it, you can do tapping, you can do, there's just whatever way you can get yourself into that space, and try them all.
And just so you know, where that space you're talking about, we call that the heart center, which is the heart chakra. Yes. But it's also the thymus gland. And so tapping there actually activates your thymus gland, which is beneficial for your body as well. So you can look that up.
I didn't know. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's why you feel good. I mean, I'll have to look and see what all it does for your thymus, or, what your thymus does, but it's like, because I'm doing it right now, but it just feels so good. It really just does. It's soothing.
And it might be in the beginning. It might be tender too. Any meridian point that you tap on, if it's tender, you just got some stuck energy there. So if you have, if you're tender right here in the heart chakra and you're tapping there, you're activating the thymus gland, you're activating the energy of your heart. If you've been closing off your heart center, you got that wall up because you don't want to let anybody in because you're going to get hurt again, whatever. And you're just tapping there. It might be a little tender in the beginning, but after a while, when you get really into that heart space, you're just like, dang, this feels good.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, awesome.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for your time and energy, hanging out with us for Tea Time with Amie and Bev. You can always leave some words in the comment box and we'll respond, especially if you have a question, or email us at Amie, AMIE, and spelled out AND Bev, BEV at gmail.com. Or join us on Facebook. We have Amie and Bev page, and we also have Amie and Bev community as a group. And then come share with your friends and family. People out there need to hear this too. So don't keep us a secret.
That's right.
If we wanted to stay a secret, we would keep having these conversations in private, but no.
That's right.
We show up every week for you. So let us be there for your friends too, family.
That's right. That's right. And have a fabulous week.
Absolutely. Take care. See you next week.